Good evening and welcome back to OSA World Cup 2020, the last match of the day here in the losers bracket, round one, featuring Mexico versus Singapore. I am this one guy. Joining me again here is Azer. How is it going, Mr. Azer? How's your last hour of the day been?
It's been pretty good. Good to be back. Always pretty good to cast some OWC. It's always nice. We got a pretty decent game here. Pretty evenly matched teams today, even though, like we said about an hour ago, they're not often talked about. But yeah, still a lot of like decent firepower and a lot of like history on both of these rosters.
Yeah, so Mexico and Singapore, of course, if you have your nose to the ground in the tournament scene, which some do, some don't, will be two teams that will have some names that you will be familiar with over on the Mexico side. Names like Wolfie, Riot, Couchtrack, and Flameshock, guys that you'll maybe have seen around, maybe have seen in the last round of this tournament or in some other community tournaments. Singapore, obviously maybe a couple little more well-known names with guys like Just Blank, Artisan, Lange, Demonical. There are actually some very strong players on both of these teams, and as we go into this, I think it is possible to have a very close matchup between them, because while neither has kind of that top tier talent that you see in some of the other matchups, they are very evenly matched strong teams in their own right. So I think this has the potential to be a good one.
Yeah, like this should honestly be pretty close. I think it's two teams that are looking to prove themselves mostly. Like they haven't really had outstanding results in recent years, so they now have an opportunity to at least advance a little bit, right? So should see some good stuff.
Yeah, both these teams kind of suffered the fate that befalls the teams that qualify a little bit lower. Mexico ran into Russia in the round of 32. Did not have a great time in that matchup. Did lose 5-0. I think the standout was probably their map on Genso no Satellite, where they lost by only 6,000 points. The closest closest map in that match, one of the closest maps in any match, I think, last weekend. So obviously capable of playing pretty decently. Russia, obviously, of course, one of the top-seeded teams. So to have some close maps with them will not be bad. It's a good look for an up-and-coming team. Singapore ran into Japan. Did not have a great time, to say the least. I don't know. There's not a lot of positives, unfortunately, to take away from that match, because Japan's just really, really good this year, and so I mean they lost. I think they did get 1 point actually, and I'm trying to find where. It was on Darkish, so they did take a point in that one. But other than that 1 point, a lot of those maps not at all close. So. It's hard to, you want to try to avoid living in the past, kind of move on to the next match and say, you know what, we're in the losers bracket, but we're in a matchup that we can win for both of these teams, and we can go into it, and try to keep our heads high and put on a good performance in against a team that's maybe a little closer match.
For sure, yeah, and I think both of these teams should be way more excited for this match. I think they actually both have quite a good chance to go through, and while it's pretty hard to do anything against some of the stronger teams in the tournament, we've actually seen Japan, for example, be much better than their seed would suggest. Actually ended up being Russia earlier today. So, and Russia was considered to be like a top 4, top 6 team easily, right? So some pretty hard opponents to go off of right off the bat. So understandable that they had the performances that they did, but now they get a bit of a more evenly matched game, and we'll have to see how that goes. And the bans are done already.
Yeah, it's a Hard Rock 2 and a DT2 ban. I feel like we've seen a lot of Hard Rock 2 bans. Nobody wants
probably
to
the hardest. It's the hardest map in the pool, I would say. Yeah. So it makes sense.
And also, nobody wants to have to try to pronounce that name. So thank you to the teams for making sure we don't have to try to say desaparecer. Desaparecer.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
9 out of 10.
I took 3 years of Spanish in high school, but well, I'm not going to admit how long ago that was because I don't need everybody to know how old I am. But it stuck with me a little bit at least.
Pronunciation, so yeah, it was alright.
There you go. We got the seal of approval.
All right, I got the Walter seal of approval. That's really all. That's what it's all about. Is the Walter seal of approval on the Spanish sounding word? I mean, that's fine by me. And let's see, hidden to the first pick from Mexico. So we are going to be going straight into an area hidden pick in this matchup, which I feel like I've always thought of Singapore as a team that's usually good, a country actually that's typically good at gimmick stuff. So that's an interesting pick from Mexico.
Yeah, first pick too as well, and this is one of the maps that we've seen, I think, one of the lowest average scores on, if not the lowest, I think. So should be spicy, I think. A lot of first-time players as well in the OWBC, at least as far as I'm aware. So going straight off the bat with nerves on the area hidden, you need a lot of aim control. It's pretty hard.
For some reason, there's just something funny about a spicy first pick from Team Mexico. That's just kind of fitting somehow. Yeah, there are some people in this who there's some players who are very experienced and some who are much less experienced in this matchup, and yeah, it's tricky to go into a gimmicky pick like this when you're maybe not somebody who's played a lot of OWC matches with as many eyes on you as there are in this one.
Here we go. Command has been issued. Let's get into the match. Let's see, Mexico versus Singapore, two pretty evenly matched teams. Around the same seeding, I think only 5 seeds apart, so.
Yeah, they are the number 27 and number 22 seed, respectively. Mexico 27, Singapore 22 through the qualifiers process. I don't know. I mean, this is like a map that is very difficult, as you said. We saw what happened in the Australia versus Brazil match with some players kind of blundering a little bit with some rough patches on those awkward angled streams. But this one's starting off with Kev's track breaking on kind of just nothing, so hopefully that's not a harbinger of things to come.
I think as far as this map goes, relative to the rest of the pool, where for most teams on round of 16 you'd be like, okay, it's about how many people can FC, and it's more about not messing up than it is about carrying. This is one of the maps where the score is going to be pretty low because it's extremely hard to combo, and like one FC can absolutely change the results. So there's a lot of carry potential on this map. So maybe that's what Mexico had in mind. It doesn't seem to be working out in their favor too well right now, though. Singapore have a really sizable lead already, only a quarter of the way in.
Yeah, and I mean, like I was saying, dude, like, for people that aren't familiar with them, Singapore has a lot of players who are just dumb good at this kind of stuff. Like, Artisan, Kitty, and Lanje with their scores right now, really just very good, like, low AR and reading players. So I don't know if Mexico didn't do their research or didn't know or thought they'd perform better on this. I don't know, but already it's almost a 300,000 point lead for Singapore. This kind of plays right into their wheelhouse, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think this is how you want to start off a match.
I mean, to be fair, like, I don't know. It's hard to do research at this level with players who don't play as many tournaments, or you know, whether you are the players who don't play as many tournaments or whether you're against players who don't play as many tournaments. It just makes it a little more difficult. But Mexico just kind of not having a good time right now. This may have been something of a blunder, a slight miscue perhaps on their part with this pick. Because Singapore still has the double FC going pretty strong here on Artisan and on Kitty. Both of whom are making this map look pretty easy compared to a lot of their other players in the lobby. 99.5% AC FC on Kitty.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's a really solid score. But I kind of, you know, I as somebody who spends a lot of time in tournament scene, I am more familiar with some of these players on that team than some others. And Singapore is pretty much always one of those teams that you just think of as like a gimmick team, like in 4-digit, especially tournaments, where some of these players are from, like Artisan and I believe Kitty as well. Don't quote me, he might be higher. Yeah, he's 4-digit. So they're people who you would see if you're familiar with that rank range of tournaments, and otherwise you may not be as familiar with them, but they come out and perform really well on maps like this. And Kitty does finally find the break in the end, but it's going to be a pretty fast
I don't think that matters
here.
too
No,
much.
it really does. It really just doesn't matter at this point, unfortunately.
They're almost 2v4 now. Artisan and Kitty just from score alone.
Yeah, this is
Landry? Zeros? Guys?
y'all good? I mean, I guess, well, okay. Well, Artisan's gonna pull off the FC. And, yeah, that is almost but not quite a 2v4 from Artisan and Kitty. I don't know. I don't know that Mexico knew what they were getting themselves into with that pick. I don't think they knew what was coming for them, but we did, and it came for them quite powerfully. That is a 1-0. That's a big break point. Yeah,
right off the bat too. That's not a nice way to start off a match. It's a bit unfortunate. 775k favor of Singapore there. Could have probably had another pick maybe. We'll see what Singapore answers with.
Yeah, if I'm Mexico, I feel like I would have started this off with maybe like the highest speed pick that I was comfortable with in this pool, I think. But I guess Singapore did win double time 2 against Japan, so maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's just hard to find picks because weaker teams, just relatively speaking, are typically maybe going to have a little harder time finding picks because their strengths aren't as defined. So it's just rough. But that was, I think that was just like not the pick. Of anything they could have picked, that was not it. That was not one of the maps.
I think there's a lot of options, but I mean, going for some of the harder maps in the pool may not be in their best interest, I think.
I feel like we traditionally see in cases where there's like a team that is a vast skill difference than the other, you often see the gimmicky stuff being favored by the stronger team, because that's like where the relative strength is going to be the most vast, whereas stuff like No Mod 1s is going to be more similar. So this is kind of like that kind of issue, but it's a free mod 2 pick, so we're getting this again. Now, we recall what happened in Brazil versus Australia when a breakpoint was won, and then the team that won the breakpoint picked this immediately after. Spoilers, it did not go well. So hopefully it'll go better for Singapore here than it did for Australia as their first pick in that matchup with a 1-0 breakpoint advantage over there.
And there's a pretty hefty like stream speed requirement on this map, so we'll have to see if all 8 players, or rather both teams, can field 4 players that are pretty comfortable on this, because it's quite streamy. You know, the rest of the map is really comfortable, but yeah, 220 BPM. It's it can be, you know, you can catch some people like myself.
I think, you know, Mexico did ban DT2, and Singapore, as I said, won DT2 against Japan. And, you know, this is kind of that same feeling of, like, let's play into that same skill set here with our first pick. Their roster there was Lange, Megumik, Demonical, Lock-On, so a little different from here. It's just looks like Lange and Megumik, the only common ones, just Blank and Low Slight joining them. Wolfie, Kevstrack, Saint, and Riot going to try to get that early break point back. But, well, if you're a Singapore fan, you'll be hoping that their first pick is a little better than Mexico's first pick was.
Yeah, and again, no overmodding or anything, just the bare minimum. This map is considerably harder with Hard Rock, though.
Yeah, we saw the double hidden FC last time with Mouse Easy and Machine. So this time we've got Megumik and Kevstrack, the hidden players, looking to repeat that performance. GS Blank and Riot Hard Rock. I kind of wish they were flipped, like Kevstrack and Riot, so you'd have Hard Rock next to Hard Rock, hidden next to hidden, but that's just aesthetics for you.
Yeah, that's a lot of breaks right off the bat. Four breaks, actually. So Mexico, 3 FCs down right off the bat. So Singapore's just gonna... It's just gonna go. It's gonna be blue. That's a blue bar.
Yeah, that's like almost as... No, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go where I was about to go. That bar is gonna get very blue very fast. GS Blank does find the first break for Singapore, but it's matched by Wolfie, so still it's a 3 FC to 1 lead. Megumik breaking as well, though.
Yeah, still a very sizable lead, though. Only halfway in the map, about 300k lead already. And still 2 FCs, looking strong with no mods. And as we get into maybe one of the trickier parts of the map pretty soon, see if anyone drops.
What is GS Blank's cursor doing? What was his cursor doing during that stream section? That was a little scary to watch. It was just all over the place. Maybe not quite comfortable with this BPM, but he made it through, and that's what matters.
It's worth noting, even though the map's almost done, a lot of recovering combos on everyone here. I don't know if everyone hits this 1/3 section. Everyone does. The Wolfie does not. Lenjay breaks his full combo, though, but I don't think there's enough time left.
It's going to be very close. Low Slight has the FC to match Kevstrack. Riot and Saint have a lot of combo, but just Blank and Megumik should be able to fend them off. And they do.
There it is.
That was a little more competitive than the first pick was, but Singapore still just a bit stronger. That's a 250,000 point victory on their own first pick. The B rank coming out from GS Blake, I think he was just not quite comfortable with that BPM, and they needed somebody to be a Hard Rock slave on that map. Kevstrack did bring in the hidden FC, so I guess hidden is the mod to go on that map. But looks like Lange with those big combos doing work for Singapore.
Yeah, Kevstrack actually getting the MVP for this one, just barely over Lost Light Snowmod FC. It's not going to be enough, though. 253,000 in favor of Singapore. They're up 2-0 now.
Singapore's going to feel a little better after that one. Getting their consolidated break point. My favorite phrase. There's nothing better than a nice consolidated break point. You just feel good with that 2-0 advantage. It's like playing tennis. You know, you get the break point on your opponents. If they served open the match, you get the break. Then you serve out your first service game. It just feels good, man. Same thing in Osu. Tennis is the only thing I know how to compare it to, of course. Obviously, that's the case, right?
All right, no mod 5 now. Tempestissimo.
So you just lost a speed pick, so you pick a speed map. I'm not quite sure I understand the logic here. Unfortunately, I don't know that I get it.
Maybe they got a trick up their sleeve.
They know something I don't. They know something that I don't. They're aware of an occurrence that I am not familiar with at this juncture in time. As we did discuss before at length about this map, where yes, it is the Nomad 5, yes, it is 230 BPM, but it's a lot more about just like the triples and bursts and then kind of the small aim patterns more than it is about raw speed. So maybe not the worst. Still plenty of time in this match. Obviously, only 2-0. He got a lot of match to come, but I don't know that I quite understand this pick. We'll find out. It's another short one, 2 minutes and 16 seconds. We'll find out pretty quickly if we are right to question Mexico or if they just are big brain and know better than we do.
Yeah, this map is extremely similar to the previous one. It's just a little bit faster, and obviously without the necessity for mods. But I mean, we did see the no mods on the Singapore side do really good, so this is a bit questionable indeed.
Gonna get into it though. Coast track with the early accuracy drops, but so do our GS Blank, Demonical, and Lanjay. Feels like a lot of people had trouble with that intro accuracy before the map really gets going. And Wolfie with the early break just as we get into the map proper here. Not the way you want to start things off, because you're trying to kind of get into this match for Mexico. You're only guaranteed, even if you're first pick in the match, you're only guaranteed 3 picks. So you want to make them all count in these early best of 9s. Those 5 points can go fast, especially with quick maps like these.
bit of a match speed run here.
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to think like, what's the optimal any percent route for this pool? It's like Nomad 4, Nomad 5, DT2, DT3, free mod 2 would be the optimal.
Pretty close.
That's the any percent strat for OWC 2020 round of 16.
I think they're routing it right now. We're trying to, because this pick's not working out too well though, with Saints missed right in the middle of the map though. That's a huge point lead for Singapore, and it's looking like a 3-0 already. Yeah,
the accuracy drops there from Couch Track is making things even worse. If he misses, his score is going to plummet. Meanwhile, Megamic over 99%, Demonical GS Blank at 98%, Lanjay just a little bit behind, still 4 away for Singapore. Honestly, Singapore is, like, for how, like, relatively hard of a time Mexico's having, Singapore in these first couple maps is playing very well.
Yeah, they're doing really good on this. They're still holding the 4-way. Oh, that's a lot of people.
Oh my god. Yikes. That was 5 breaks? That was 5 breaks. Demonical, Lanjay, Riot, and Saint all just gone.
Blank is holding his ground.
GS Blank has to be like...
Oh, that cursor.
Yeah, I feel like either he's shaky or his BPM comfort range like tops out at maybe like 215 or something, because these picks are just a little ahead of that, and you can see that he's able to FC them, but his accuracy and his cursor controlled suffer for it. But it's an FC from GS Blank and a very big combo from the rest of his team, and that is a quick 3-0 lead here for Team Singapore. Yeah, this is going their way in a hurry.
This is a pretty quick one. It's again back to Singapore's picks. Mexico has a minimum of 3 picks, and they've started the match off with 2 fairly questionable ones, and it turns out that they did not work in their favor very well. Singapore actually doing pretty good on this one. I mean, almost the 4-way, just that one stream at the end. That was maybe a little bit lengthy, but yeah, pretty good performance out of them, and it's now their pick. And we just got started. There's so much to pick.
I think they go DT3 here, judging by how the first few picks have gone. Like, I
Complete
feel like
the speedrun route.
Control. Yeah, it's not like both of the speedrun route and the fact that it seems like their speed and finger control are just better than Mexico's so far. That seems like the most obvious, but they could switch it up, of course. They could just say, you know what, we're aim players now, and go like Hard Rock 1. It's just totally throw off the route.
Hidden 1. Okay.
I can see it.
Like medium length.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's 3 minutes long, so it's gonna put a kibosh. That's not gonna help out the speedrun aspect of things, but it is, I think, a pick that's gonna be very good for them, because they are, as we said before, very good at the reading aspect and the hidden aspect of things. Yeah,
based on how Hidden 2 went as a first pick, I would have almost said Hidden 2 was probably a pick that Singapore was also planning on picking, so this works out to their favor, picking the other Hidden. And based on how the first one went, this should be a really, really solid pick for them.
Yeah, Mexico, they need to figure out a way to turn this match around, and I don't think it's going to be this type of pick, unfortunately. I don't feel like this is really the type of thing that's going to help their cause, but one can only hope that they'll sort something out on a it's a new map. It's a new opportunity.
Although to be fair, there's quite a big difference between this hidden pick and the other one, but shouldn't change too much of how we predict Singapore is going to do. I think it's definitely a map that looks to be in their favor.
One thing interesting for this pool is that you have the low AR hidden, a 30 BPM higher pick than the AR 9.4 hidden. I feel like normally that tends toward the other direction, where it feels like a lot of the times our low AR hiddens will be a lower BPM as well. This one, lower BPM is the hidden one, which I guess is kind of leaned into this sort of awkward aim, low BPM thing. Early break from Artisan, but followed up by Lynx on Mexico. Right at the beginning here. A combo in this one. 1,500 plus combo despite only being 3 minutes long, so very note dense. A lot of combo to be gained, a lot of combo to be lost, a lot of places you can kind of just miss.
Yeah, this kind of just gets you when you don't expect it. Just a lot of pretty complicated like rhythm patterns that just need a lot of finger control. And then it just tosses you these like pretty spaced streams where if you're not too familiar with playing this type of map, especially with it in, it can kind of be hard to follow them at the right pace. And just seen a lot of drops, mostly just from Flameshock and Artisan, though everyone else has been holding pretty good. And as I say that, Lynx actually finds another break. I don't believe that's his first, but that was 3 FCs to 2.
Yeah, you know, it's the type of map where if you are a tournament player who has seen a lot of map pools and plays all of the mods, you'll probably be familiar with it and be able to be comfortable with it. You know, maybe like 1 or 2 practice runs at most. But if you're just like an everyday player, this is not the sort of thing you probably play much of, and you're gonna have a lot of trouble with it. And we see Kev's track with the 3rd break from Mexico, so now just Cyros with the FC. Low Slight does drop the 2nd FC from Singapore, but Kitty and Lanjay both on the FCs still, and Artisan building combo back up. So looking like, as we said, an expected good pick for Singapore here from players who are pretty good at this skill set in most cases.
Oh! Actually, I'm not even surprised.
What?
No, I'm not even surprised.
No, I'm not either.
That part looks very simple, but there's like a pause before you think you have to hit that pattern and before you actually have to hit it. Speaking from experience, lots of misses there.
Yes, as somebody who has played the pool, I don't know, how many times did you play this pool? How many times did you run into the people missing on that exact note? Yeah,
so I'm not at all surprised that we saw like 4 or 5 misses there. It looks very innocent, but it's probably the hardest part of the pool, I think.
Yeah, you know,
I don't think it's gonna matter too much. Though still a 500k point lead.
For all of our talk about people getting low scores on Hidden 2, like this is actually, I would say, arguably more intable than Hidden 2. And the players are kind of proving that to be the case, as they are having a pretty rough go of things in many cases. Lanjay still just doing his thing over there, like he doesn't care. He's like just walking through explosions, like whatever, you guys do your thing. I'm gonna FC this, don't worry about me.
See, this is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the match. I think that like the dynamic between these teams and like some of the maps on this pool just allow for a player to carry, and Lanjay absolutely just carried there, getting double the score of almost anyone else on his team. So I don't know. I think it's a pretty interesting match dynamic where like normally with like top seeded teams, you may not be seeing this type of thing where it's more expected for everyone to have Lanjay's score. But in this situation, Lanjay has just carried everything just with the only FC, and no one else is even close.
Yeah, he was just the best player in this lobby on that pick, and it literally was inarguable and like not even vaguely close at all. Kind of like what happened with intercamming in the match earlier between Chile and the Ukraine, where intercamming was just like playing lights out Osu, and nobody else could keep up with him at all. Kind of what Lanjay just did on that pick.
And no mod 1 is what follows. Now this is a pick that probably makes more sense compared to the other ones. Something I would expect to see more.
Yeah, I would really have expected more of a I don't want to say coin flip, but I would have expected more of a coin flip map in this type of matchup where it's something that's dependent on, maybe just like a miss here or there. That's kind of what Nomad 1 typically does, as we've seen many times today so far, every time it's been picked. One miss here and there, and the scorer can just do all kinds of weird things because it's literally just aim consistency. So, maybe this is the way Mexico at least gets a point on the board. I'd like to see that happen. You hate to see teams get swept, especially in losers bracket, where they get swept and go home. That's not a great feeling. You don't want to be there. It sucks. So hopefully they can put up a good show on something a little more standard.
Yeah, of all the maps that have been played so far, this is the one where I will give Mexico the most credit on paper. Like, they definitely have the most fighting chance of any other map that was picked so far. So hope to see them, find their footing in this match. Before it's too late, because we're pretty close to being too late.
I was gonna say, it's about to be too late. If they're not careful, it is too late in about 4 minutes. Also, anyone out there, with the 5-1 pick'ems or something, right? Like, please. Not that I'm one of those.
Yeah, curious that you would mention that specifically.
Not that I'm one of those. No, I would like to see Mexico get a point on the board. I think it feels a lot better when you don't get swept. So we'll see though, as Wolfie finds the break in the first 30 combo. I'm hoping that's not like a portent. I think there are some pretty solid aim players on both these sides. I think we'll expect to see a pretty good score out of Riot from Mexico. Demonical coming in for Singapore, I think usually a very good aim player as well. So hopefully we get some good scores on this map. This is definitely one, like you said, where better scores are definitely possible for even teams that maybe don't trend as well into the more gimmicky types of picks.
Yeah, like this is just like a super standard pick. Every team, no matter your seeding, is going to have all 4 players able to play this, right? So it's already looking way more comfortable with only just a small hiccup at the beginning from Wolfie, but everyone else just has a good score across the board, good accuracies.
Yeah, this is a much better start to things so far through the first couple hundred combo. It's a very long map, as we said. About 4 minutes of 1600 combo, right about 1600 combo. At the time, you can just kind of hang out and enjoy some Osu, It's one of those where it's like, usually not the most exciting, but it gets more and more anxiety-ridden as it goes on, and you get farther and farther into the map with all the FCs still intact.
Yeah, like right now?
Yeah, we're only 500 combo in. This is child's play. If you think this is a nerve-wracking, you ain't seen nothing yet. We gotta get another about 800 combo in before we start to really get nervous. Still almost halfway through, just the early break from Wolfie. That was in the first 25 to 30 combo. Man. I looked his way, and he just felt my eyes on his screen. That is unfortunate. But Demonical finds a break right after for Singapore, so actually it is not the end of the world. 3 FCs to 3. Even combo between the non-FC players. Still half the map to come. Score gap only, what, 40, 50,000?
It's actually such an unfortunate break from Demonical as well. Like, yeah, the SS, he still hasn't gotten 100, I think. That's only 1 miss. Oh, all right.
Well, Saint and Riot both breaking, I think.
Wait, Saint too?
Yeah, I know. I kind of missed it because I happened to look away at my other screen, but Saint,
it was like
Saint did miss in that, yep. So it is now 3 FCs to 1, and Mexico's hopes at remaining in this match another point are slipping away very quickly as we head into the last KI.
And there's just not much remaining. Even if we were to see more combo breaks on the side of Singapore, the combo advantage is just way too big. It looks like to be a pretty clean game for Singapore.
Yeah, and honestly, like, Singapore, as we said, they ran into a very, very strong Japan team in the first round, but, a performance like this shows that they are capable of putting up good scores on a lot of maps. And Mexico has commenced with cursor dancing, so I think you can definitely call this one at this point. So it's unfortunate, but Singapore is going to be a team that I think will have an interesting matchup. I mean, they have Romania in the next round, which is a team with some interestingly similar skill sets to them. That'll be one to watch out for, I think, based on their performance in this match.
Yeah, honestly, on a lot of these maps, Singapore really put up good scores. Like, regardless of their opponents, you could have some of these scores put against some of the more competitive teams, and like they would hold on. They would hold up pretty well. Lost Light doing pretty well over the match, I believe. Like 3 FCs, mostly no mod too. Like, pretty good performance from a player we haven't even talked about yet, right? So pretty, I don't know. It should be interesting to see how they do against Romania. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for Mexico. They're now out of the tournament.
Yep, it's the fate of the lower seeded teams. I think you celebrate making it through qualifiers, getting into the bracket, getting to play a couple matches in OWC, but just outclassed in both of their matchups in the bracket here, and unable, unfortunately, to even get a point against Singapore. But Singapore looked very good. So we're glad to see Mexico get here. You know, congratulations to them for getting through qualifiers, and you know, couple good performances, but not quite able to make that jump. Singapore, on the other hand, looking very strong in the 5-0 sweep, and moving onward. Losers bracket round 2 next week. They survive to play another new pool in a pretty dominating fashion.
Yeah, I think their seeding doesn't really do them justice, I think. So yeah, watch out, Romania, I suppose. I guess we'll be seeing that next week. Should be a pretty good one. But let's talk about the matches we're about to see tomorrow, though. Germany, Indonesia, about to be playing. France, Hong Kong should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, tomorrow has hella overlaps, which is going to be very unfortunate for the stream. We start off with 13 UTC has 2 matches in, what is that, about 8 hours. It's France versus Hong Kong, Germany versus Indonesia, both in the winners bracket. I think France-Hong Kong is, I think, for my money, going to be the better match, but Indonesia showed that they are very strong as well, so those will both be good matchups. Then you go into Malaysia versus Norway and Poland versus China, both at 14 UTC, and then 15 UTC 6.
Oh, well, I think we lost him. Well, I guess I'll finish the sentence. 15 UTC, Austria and Italy. should be the match, and then Turkey, Sweden to wrap it up, and then of course we're going to be seeing the map full showcase for the next round following that. But yeah, I do want to echo. I think France versus Hong Kong should be pretty good. Not only because I mean they're our opponents next round, but also I think France this year has kind of had a really random comeback where they've had pretty unlucky years prior to this one, like the last 2 or 3, not really finding their footing in the tournament, losing in groups or losing in early rounds, but now this time looking to be one of the top performers. So I guess we'll be seeing that soon enough. Yeah, so I think that's going to be wrapping the first day of the round of 16. I guess my fellow co-casters died a little bit, so I guess it'll just be me. No, is he back? He's
I don't know.
back.
I don't know. I'm back in time to say goodbye. I don't know. My internet died for about 30 seconds there. Yeah, I didn't. You didn't miss much from me, so it's all good.
There we go. Well, yeah, so that's going to be it for us. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the remainder of the round of 16 matches. And yeah, we'll see you guys there.
Have a great night, everyone.